it's Kim from Kyms Homestead in Victoria, Australia. How are you and how are you all doing? All good, I hope. Well, I've got a lovely recipe for you today. It is a recipe that I saw actually on YouTube. I do subscribe to a gentleman called Mr. Paul, and it's called Mr. Paul's Pantry. He's I think he's an English pie maker that actually lives in Spain. Anyway, he had some delicious looking pies that I thought I might try. So this is the first time I've made them. It's called a steak and potato pie. A lot of people think they're called potato and steak pie. They're not. These ones actually have more meat than they do potatoes, so they're actually steak and potato pie. Anyway, so let's see how they go and see whether we like them or not. Alright. So here I have a nice piece of chuck steak, which I'm just going to slice into little dices. I don't worry about taking off the fat unless it's an excessive amount, because that's all extra flavour. Okay, so I'll bring you back when it's all done. So here we are, all cut up and ready for the fry pan. Now I will just heat this up in the fry pan. I won't actually cook the steak. All I want to do is brown the outsides of the steak, ready to put it into another pan to start cooking. So let's get it into the fry pan. Here we are at the fry pan, and I've got about a tablespoonful of garlic oil in it, and it's been heating now for a few moments while I was chopping the steak, and as you can see, it's good and hot. Now we'll just put in the meat. And we'll let that start browning. Once it starts cooking, don't keep fiddling with it and turning it. Just let it sit there for a few moments and let it start browning. If it's too dry, give it a bit more oil. And then once it's browned on the bottom a little bit, no, needs a bit more. That's it. So it's starting to go brown on the bottom. That's what you want. So now I can turn it all over. Okay, here we go. And that's nicely cooked. Now remember, it's not cooked all the way through, but it is nicely browned and caramelised on the outside. Now we'll take this off the heat and we'll put in the other ingredients. Okay, so to the fry pan I'm going to add the onion and garlic, and I have one medium-sized onion and 3 cloves of garlic, all finely chopped. So now we'll just cook that through until the onion becomes translucent. Okay, that's cooked enough. We don't want it browned or caramelised. We just want it slightly translucent. Now to this I am going to add 2 tablespoons of flour, 1 teaspoon of mustard, 3/4 of a teaspoon of dried thyme, 2 tablespoons of dried and powdered tomato, and salt and pepper to taste. So probably about 1/8 of pepper and about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I can add to that later if I like. So I'm just going to sprinkle in this. Now I'll let the flour cook, and that will give the herbs a chance to heat up and release their flavours. By cooking the flour, what you're doing is getting rid of that real flour taste. So when you bite into your lovely meat pie, you don't want it tasting like an old piece, a spoonful of flour. So we'll give it a couple of minutes, not very long because we don't want to brown it. All we want to do is release that flour taste. Now what I also have is, it's about 2 cups of a beef pork stock that I did back in the 4th of 21. So now I'll add this gradually, and what we want to do is just make a roux. So I'll break up any of those flour chunks that I can see in there. Just add a little bit. All I'm doing is just getting rid of any lumps that might be in there. Now don't worry if your stock is a little runny, because it will thicken later on. Okay, now to this I will add another 2 cups of a good red wine. If you don't want to put red wine, just add more stock. And I'll also add 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce and 3 bay leaves. Okay. Right, now what I'm going to do is just transfer this to a large saucepan so that I can let it simmer for a while. There we go, we're just about to come up to a boil again. So it's basically at a high simmer at the moment. So what I will do is I will return the meat and all of its juices. Now I will turn this down to basically a low simmer and just let it simmer away. I'll put the lid back on slightly at an angle so it doesn't boil dry. Now that will reduce in liquid. The gravy will thicken up and it will cook that steak to a beautiful tender consistency. So I will cook that for probably half an hour and then I will let it sit overnight in the pan ready for baking into pies tomorrow. Okay, this has been simmering for about an hour. It's reduced in liquid and it's starting to come to a nice thick sauce. Now I also added a packet of tomato paste. I think if I did this recipe again, I would use a Merlot, not a Shiraz. So to this, I'm going to add there's 2 medium-sized potatoes, small to medium anyway, and I have peeled and cubed them. Now I will let them cook in there for, we don't want them to cook completely because they are actually going to cook in the pie, but I do want them to start off because if I cook them completely they will just go to mush once I start cooking the pies. So I'll leave them in there for about 15 minutes, and that way they'll get reasonably well done, but not enough so that they're going to turn to mush. Probably about halfway they will be, and yeah, about 15 minutes. Well, it is the next day now, and I'm about to plate up the pies. So, the pastry that I'm using is a ready-made pastry, and it is short crust pastry I just got from our local supermarket. There we go. Now I've got one of these little discs that you can pick up when you pick up a pie maker. I've got a pie maker, but I am using individual pie plates today. So I'll be just making these. Because the pastry is just out of the fridge, it's a little tough at the moment. Now I don't want to waste the pastry, so looks like I'm only going to get 2 bases out of this one sheet. Okay, so what I have here are the little pie discs. Once again, I just picked these up from my local supermarket. And I've got just some canola cooking spray. I'll just spray these, make sure they don't stick. And I'll just, won't push them in, but I will fold them in. There's one. These are a little big, so what I might do is just take out a piece, just like you would there we go. This is old pastry, so it does crack a bit. Just something in my freezer that I needed to be used. Don't be afraid to make repairs. I mean, they're not going to win any contest in a beauty pageant, but they will be edible. Here we go, that's number 2 done. Don't throw this away because that will help to make the tops. I'll just wrap it in that. That will keep it fresh. There's our 2 pies. Right, there's our 2 pies. And I'll just get a spoon. And here is our cold pie mixture. Now it's got to be completely cold before you put it into your pastry cases, because if you put hot pie filling into the pastry bases, you're going to get soggy bottoms, and nobody wants soggy bottoms. See how your gravy has all thickened up? It's nice and thick now. All that extra liquid has gone, all thickened up. Right, so that's those two. Put them aside for a moment. Right, and just make sure that all the meat is tucked in. Now we'll use the smaller side of this to put the lids on. I'm hoping to get the 4 lids out of this sheet. Right, we'll put our oven on. Okay, so here we have the lids and we have a little bit of water. Now, all I'm going to do is put a little bit of water around the outside of this pastry case so that it will stick down. Not much, just a little bit. And we shall tuck it in. Just roll the top over. Right, now here is where you can either get a fork and go around here or just pinch. Just with your thumb and forefinger, just go around and pinch. And that will make the seal. Or you can do the finger but I prefer to do it this way. There we go. Then just a little chicken foot on the top for air vents. Oh, darn. I forgot to go round it with the water. go, put the top back on. And roll the top. And that seals in all that gravy. There we go, and just go around and pinch. Sealing it all in tight. And a couple of chicken feet. For air vents. There we go, 4 beautiful pies. Now these will go in a 180-degree oven for approximately 45 minutes. So I'll bring you back when they're done. And there we go, 4 beautiful meat and potato pies. They look delicious, don't they? Now, I'm going to let them cool, and I think I'll be probably having one for tea tonight. So I will cut it open when I have tea tonight so you can see what it's like. Now, with the leftover pastry, don't throw it away, because I'm going to put this back in the freezer, and when I want to make a pie for anything, I've got enough pastry here for a pie casing. So next time I want to make an apple pie or a quiche or anything like that, I've already got the pastry. So I'll let these cool, and I'll cook up one for tea tonight, and you can see what it's like on the inside. Tonight is Friday, the 2nd of June, and we're having a homemade steak and potato pie. So I've just pulled it out of the oven. Some mashed potatoes to go with it. And some lovely minted peas. There we go. That is beautiful. And of course, our beverage of choice this evening is some red wine and lemonade. I shall enjoy. Well, what did you think of those? They weren't too bad either. Couple of things that I would tweak in that. Instead of using the Shiraz red wine that I did, I would probably use a Merlot. I'm not overly keen on Shiraz, that's why it's sitting in the pantry. but it gave the pie a bit of a, you know how you get that pickle taste, the vinegary taste. It was very, very light, but it was there. So I'd probably, as I said, either replace that red wine with a Merlot and not a Shiraz, or do without the red wine altogether and just put in some nice beef stock, which is probably what I will do next time. But they were still very nice pies. I did thoroughly enjoy them. And another little thing, I would probably use a flaky pastry for the lid. I didn't have any flaky pastry, and honestly I couldn't be bothered making any up. But I had used the flaky pastry in a previous recipe. So, if you make them, leave me a link down below. I'd be interested in your thoughts on how yours turned out and whether you liked them or not. The recipe makes about 4 pies, reasonably large pies. For me, they're big anyway. So, anyway, they're worth a try. They really are. I hope you enjoy them. Anyway, I'll catch you again very shortly with another recipe or out in the garden. Don't forget, if you like the content that I'm bringing you, please give me a thumbs up. That would be really good. And if you like my videos, please think about subscribing. That would be wonderful. I can't grow unless this channel grows, so therefore all subscribers are most welcome. Alright friends, I will catch you again soon with, as I said, another recipe out in the garden, or maybe some cleaning tips. I'll see you soon. Bye.